Following an internal discussion, Lillard is off the clock at Portland and taking the chip back to the Bay Area where the Dubs can break some more records and time their challenge for Dame to check his clutch clock and capture his dream of a ring he truly deserves. Before we get into the video, if you want to win a PS5 with NBA 2K21 and Madden NFL 21 included, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. Damian Lillard has clearly been the focus of most trade talk this summer. He appears to be on the very domino which will spark the rest of the league to spring into action. One thing we can be sure of is that Lillard looks set to be leaving. He isn't happy with the new choice of coach. After Damian aggressively suggested potential applicants, the Blazers ended up electing Chauncey Billups. Not only has Damian been disappointed in the playoffs, he now has to feel like he's not being heard in his own organization despite being their biggest star. This smoke isn't without fire, as reports have done the rounds this morning pointing all arrows firmly at his exit. It's tough at the top as Lillard has many suitors lined up to take a shot at the Portland Prince. Nonetheless, all this talk only muddies the water in what should be a very simple trade when all is said and done. So let's play a game of by process of elimination. The New York Knicks have thrown up a laughable option for the trade: R.J. Barrett, Obi Toppin, and Mitchell Robinson. Just because they have renewed optimism following a solid 2021 doesn't mean they should suddenly announce themselves as players in one of the biggest trades of the year. Yes, they have the money and renewed hope in star Julius Randle, but they still got defeated mighty easily by the Atlanta Hawks in a 5-game series in round 1 of the playoffs. This is not an alluring option for Lillard, and the Portland Trailblazers won't give up their prized possession for less than what they feel they deserve. So let's move on. The Boston Celtics. Now, they have some pieces of interest to many franchises looking to rebuild. A young team that managed a 7-game Eastern Conference Finals with LeBron's Cavs in 2018 following the loss of star players Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving have grown into themselves over the years. The star power of Jason Tatum gives them the edge as one of the very tempting prospects for Lillard, who looks to join a squad with a fantastic front office and top coach Brad Stevens. But the trade would involve Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart, which, while intriguing, won't put this trade over the edge. Next up, the 76ers. So Philadelphia would offer up Ben Simmons and, you guessed it, George Hill with a couple of future first-round picks in between. But what's in it for Portland? Simmons is nowhere near the same type of asset that Lillard is. They think a couple of picks and the journeyman Hill is going to sweeten the deal? No thanks. What's worse is Dame wants to travel east because of poor weather. Why? Because Joel Embiid and him have a combined record of never making it to the NBA Finals? Or so the Bucks and Nets can cause them more problems in the East? A likely story. Last on the block is the Pelicans, and we honestly tried to figure out any scenario that makes this a good trade, but we simply couldn't come up with it. So we're going to immediately rule it out and remind you that Lillard wants to win a championship, not sit on the couch watching other teams in the playoffs. So let's get to it. The Golden State Warriors. Let's start with the obvious. Damian Lillard is a Warriors fan. If you get the opportunity to play for the team you supported growing up, surely it would more than pique your interest. Now add the fact that this team has built a squad of superstars who can get the kind of success story you dreamed of. Let's cast your mind back to 2019. It's the Western Conference Finals, and Portland is here for the first time in 20 years. It's been a wonderful road of buzzer beaters and Dame time plays. Lillard sits waiting for his moment. The mighty Golden State Warriors stand in his way for a first visit to the NBA Finals. Down and injured Kevin Durant, Golden State are surely vulnerable and lacking the spark they had in previous championship runs of the last 2 years. Dame steps on the court and offers a 22.3 points per game and an 8.5 assists per game, but there's nothing he can do as Steph goes hot, averaging a monster 36.5 points per game. You're swept and beaten well by a side without their back-to-back Finals MVP. How do you feel? Despite Dame's loyalty and openness to talk about his lack of ambition to join a super team, a part of any competitor has to think, well, if you can't beat them, join them. The obvious long-distance shooting of Steph Curry and Damian Lillard would add to an impeccable defensive player in Draymond Green and a soon-to-be-back all-rounder in Klay Thompson. Let's get real. Lillard goes to the Warriors and they're favorites. Period. Those missile three-pointers from distance will be so hard to stop, it'll be like watching battleships avoid the cannons in Pirates of the Caribbean. So how do you convince Portland? After all, they're the ones who will have to face this new superstars team if they meet in the West. Well, let's start with Andrew Wiggins. Everyone knows that the 2015 Rookie of the Year has performed to a level that has brought him into many a trade conversation this past 6 months, averaging 18.6 points per game in 33.3 minutes this term. Wiggins largely impressed in the later part of the season with some huge performances with 48% from the field. Reports have him down as a long-term piece, but we know he's the right fit for every trade the Warriors put forward. As for James Wiseman, the 20-year-old 7-foot center has already increased his stock with some fine form in his rookie season, averaging 11.5 points and 5.8 rebounds per game in an average of 21.4 minutes per game. Wiseman's length provides great currency, and he has been praised by staff and teammates for his ability to read the game. The combination of Wiseman and Wiggins could be the right concoction that gives credence to a deal that would end up suiting all three parties. Should Golden State pull the trigger on this? The two pieces they'd have to give up are talented enough to be used in the long term. If not for trade bait, then they both certainly show the potential to build a skillful squad in an incoming Thompson and Pascal returning from the doctor's office. So what makes this trade such an attractive option for the Warriors? Simple. Superstar numbers. Damian Lillard has a 45.2 field goal percentage, and considering the amount of shots he's forced to make, that's high. He was top of the leaderboard in free throw percentage in the NBA this season. Lillard also sits second on the stats list for three-point field goals made in 2021. You know who sits first? Steph Curry. Combine those two and you've got one hell of a coalition. Two three-point monsters absolutely destroying teams from downtown. Golden State's greatness came about because the stars aligned prior to KD's arrival. They drafted the future greatest shooter of all time with Steph Curry in 2009. They then pulled in one of the second best shooters of all time by claiming Klay Thompson in the 2011 draft. They robbed the draft in 2012 with future Defensive Player of the Year Draymond Green, who was alarmingly stolen at the 35th pick of the second round. And finally, they signed a future Finals MVP in Andre Iguodala in 2013. The build was incredible, and after much success with 3 titles in 4 years, they never shied away from making moves that brought them more glory. The Kevin Durant saga left fans fuming after the Warriors already seemed relatively strong following back-to-back finals in 2015 and 2016. Having suffered defeat to the Cavs in a crushing 2016 loss following their 3-1 lead being snatched away from them by a Kyrie dagger in Game 7, the Warriors rebounded quickly. They took no prisoners and decided to target what was seemingly the best player in the world, Kevin Durant. 2 more titles later, and they're better off for it. This no-nonsense approach is something the Dubs will have no trouble revisiting when it comes to trade targets. GM Bob Myers holds the number 7 and number 14 picks of a very talented first round this year. These prime pieces come into play because they can easily leverage the Wiseman-Wiggins trade deal. Who else could go with them? Perhaps a young Jordan Poole to push the deal over the edge. This way, Portland is getting 5 pieces of prime real estate development if you include the picks. A very attractive offer. Captivating as it is, it's hard to believe that Portland will actually feel happy once this trade gets over the line. There's just no real winning for them, unfortunately. But then again, something's gotta give. They've spent far too long out in the wilderness of the West without reaching that elusive final once again. Maybe it's time to blow it all up, start over. The Pelicans had no choice with AD, but they were going nowhere fast. Now, despite still bringing just outside the playoffs, they're playing good basketball and working towards something other than trying to keep one man happy. Although they might have to try again if Zion fulfills his potential. That's a good problem to have, until it goes stale, which is exactly where Portland is with Dame. They had a good run together. There's no shame in breaking this relationship up. They can play the "it's not you, it's me" scenario or the "let's just be friends" card. If you really love someone, set them free. It'll be better for everyone, Portland. In conclusion, this trade is a recipe for success. No one expects it to happen because they want to still act surprised when they keep forgetting the Spurs traded Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green for DeMar DeRozan and Jakob Poeltl. With so much discussion around the Dame Time destination, it's easy to forget that the only place for him is on a championship-winning team. The Warriors are planning the trade that we all recognize makes them favorites, which makes them the best landing spot for a top 10 player short of the postseason triumph he truly deserves. Do you think Damian Lillard is leaving for the Warriors? Comment below to let us know your thoughts, and be sure to subscribe for more. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss another one of our videos. We'll see you next time, latest Hoops fans. Until then, keep shooting your shot!